Bill Colazzi here with an Eternal Masters draft. Alright, right off the bat we have one of the best removal spells in the format, Swords to Plowshares. This is great. Sensei's Divining Top is confusing and underwhelming. Roar of the Worm, that's actually pretty nice. I haven't really gotten it to work. There aren't so many... Well, I mean, it's a fine card, but it's pretty bad against Mana War, which is a nice little common in this set, and any kind of bounce like that. What else is there in this pack? Not too much. Memory Lapse, like, there's some decent filler cards, but Swords to Plowshares is great. And that's going to be the pick. Nice way to start things off. Speaking of Mana War, here it is. There's also... We don't need to commit to our first pick really here, but what else is there? I mean, Keldon Champion is okay, but it's sort of like... Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good. In the deck it's good in. Bloodbraid Elf is a nice one. Probably the strongest card here, although it's in two colors and neither color that we already have. Might still be the pick here, though. I'm not interested in a Ballynock Cohort or Mesa Enchantress so early. The Keldon Champion and the Bloodbraid Elf are probably the two... Well, and Mana War. Those are like the three cards you'd really look at, maybe Phyrexian Rager. But let's go with a Bloodbraid Elf here. Ooh, cool. Call of the Skybreaker. This is kind of exactly the card I want in a deck. It just lets you do whatever, as long as you survive. That's the only constraint, until you get up to 7 mana, and then you take over the game. Okay, so I'm kind of in for that game plan. And being passed at third, I mean, you don't have to be in blue, you don't have to be in red, you just have to be in one of those. But it's kind of nice to be in blue. We kind of have one card to be in red already. And it's not that hard to go a bunch of colors in this set. Like here, Windscarred Crag, we've already got some potential. Civic Wayfinder is also a pretty nice card here. Might be the pick. Bloodbraid Elf into Civic Wayfinder or Swords to Plowshares. Those are nice ones. Even as a late game draw, the Civic Wayfinder can be nice. Yeah, so if it wasn't for Civic Wayfinder, maybe it'd be Windscarred Crag or Prismatic Lens or even Extract from Darkness, but it's just so different from what we already have that I'll follow this up with a Civic Wayfinder. Okay, so now things get interesting. We could take Harmonize, or here's a 5th pick Squadron Hawk. That works well with the picks we already have. Harmonize is so strong, though. Harmonize. Draw 3 cards. That's a lot of cards to draw. Yeah, I tell you what, I'm going to take Harmonize here. The Hawks don't always come together, and, you know, if it really comes together, this will wheel. Whereas Harmonize, we know that's going to be good for this deck. Soulcatcher, yeah, not even as good as Squadron Hawk. Wirewood Symbiote. Oh gosh. Can you imagine just playing a Bloodbraid Elf every turn with Wirewood Symbiote? Sounds good to me. It's not even guaranteed we're not in elves. So this card has a high upside, and even at worst, you know, you just bounce a value elf like Wayfinder or Bloodbraid Elf. So yeah, pretty happy to get that. Now what, Flinthoof Boar? Is that what we're doing? Are we the red-green deck now, finally? Actually, I'm not above that, you know, 2 mana 3/3 that might have haste some of the time. I'll take it. Curd Ape? Yeah, this could be the time. I don't usually go red-green, but this could be the time. Abundant Growth is another nice one to keep your eye on. Yeah, especially since we're going to play things maybe like Swords to Plowshares. I might just take that, actually. It's kind of a trap to fall into, to try to get too aggressive and take these card apes when you just don't need to be that aggressive, and you don't need to have that much red in your deck if you really don't want it. So that was an interesting pick there. I wonder what people think about it. But yeah, it's kind of keeping yourself open, and this card is never bad. If you're going to be heavy green, splashing a lot of colors, this is exactly what you want. Roar of the Worm. Here's this big fellow's back. There's Memory Lapse and some other stuff, maybe even Blossoming Sands. But Roar of the Worm could be exactly what we want here. Alright, well here's an elf. This elf is okay. He's alright. Thornwood Falls is another pretty good card that might help us cast our Call the Skybreaker. This one's kind of tough. I'm not sure what's right. I'm going to take Thornwood Falls. And another Abundant Growth. Okay, Extract from Darkness. Does this do what we want it to do? That's the question. Mana should be pretty easy in this deck, but I'm not sure it does what we want it to do. I'll take it. You know, it's the most powerful card here, and we don't need a Windscarred Crag. Not necessarily. Okay, Nausea? Probably the one we don't want to go against. And Rugged Highlands comes back. Not sad about that. I've seen a Gaseous Form cast maybe once. Maybe never. Alright, what about this pack? Baleful Strix is a good card. Annihilate's a little too hard to cast. I mean, we don't need to go too deep here. Trigon Predator is okay. Silent Departure is pretty nice. But seeing how we're just like going to be all the colors at this point, I'll take Baleful Strix. Okay, Werebear? Is there nothing better than Werebear here for us? The Warden doesn't help anything out, and doesn't help Call the Skybreaker. Flamekin Zealot, not really. Hydroblast, I guess. Maybe Una's Grace. Not a bad one to hit off Bloodbraid Elf, get it in your graveyard. Maybe Werebear is it, though. The trouble with Werebear is we don't have too many ways to fill our graveyard yet. There are, but we don't really need that. I don't know, I'm going to take Una's Grace. Ooh, Fate's Fetters. So we have just about the two best white removal spells. Counterspell is one I like, but it gets a little worse in your deck when you have Cascade. And we're not ridiculously blue. We're a little bit blue, but not ridiculously blue. Carbonize is also a strong removal spell. Pretty good to hit off Bloodbraid Elf. And a little easier to cast than Fate's Fetters. So there's an argument for that. Helps fill up the graveyard if that ever becomes important. Peregrine Drake is also another nice one, but I think here, given that we have these synergies and whatnot. Oh, wow. Yeah, you know, I'm going to take Fate's Fetters. I think it's just a little more consistently great than Carbonize. And gaining the life is more powerful than the option of doing 3 damage to your opponent in a control deck. Like, if you're waiting to stabilize with Call the Skybreaker, you don't need to get them to 17. You just need to survive. Vindicate and Honden of Life's Web. Speaking of stabilizing and things, wow, this is tough. I guess it's Vindicate. The Honden is a little slow, and it's not the first Honden I would want. And we're going to be able to cast Vindicate pretty easily with all of our Abundant Growths and Dual Lands and Civic Wayfinders. Alright, that's cool. Merfolk Looter here. that helps us get like our Roar of the Worm in the graveyard. We can put Una's Grace in the graveyard if we don't need it. It might even be good with Extract from Darkness if we find a good combo creature. Alright, Scoured Barrens. Yeah, it looks like we will want some amount of black and white in the deck, and blue and red for that matter. But yeah, I'll take the Scoured Barrens here. Okay, now we have another shot at this Honden. Maybe Pilgrim's Eye is more important here? But we're kind of being, like, shoved these Hondens, and it might be correct. That's tough. We already have Civic Wayfinder. Ooh. And getting a second Honden, or, I mean, we could be the 5-color Honden deck. Like, that's not out of the question. I'll take that here. It's a little sad to leave Pilgrim's Eye, and even Peregrine Drake would be good, but I don't want to be left without Hondens. If we get another Honden, like the red one or the white one, and I missed my second chance at this, that would kind of suck. Abundant Growth, sure. I'll take that here. Still not loving Counterspell. Well, I do love it, but it's a little hard to cast at all times, and that does make it a little worse. Tranquil Grove, you have my Enchantress, but the dual lands are so important for this deck. Kind of going a bit crazy here in this deck. Wildfire Emissary. This is a high upside card that probably starts in the sideboard. Ooh, Peregrine Drake. This is perfect. Being able to untap like any of these colored lands and play Hondens and Extracts from Darkness after playing this, it's so good. Commune with the Gods could be nice. That could be one we like. It does some things with Extract from Darkness, and some of the cards we put in our graveyard aren't so bad to put there, so. Alright, here's Kirdape back again. Kirdape and Tidal Wave. Yeah, this looks more like a Tidal Wave deck than a Kirdape deck at this point. Dream Twist, sure. Cards we'd like to open. White Honden, Red Honden, Black Honden, and Blue Honden. Although Blue Honden is like my least favorite Honden. Draw card, it doesn't say May, so just about every time I cast that I die to milling myself. That happens when you forget to put win conditions in your deck. Oh, perfect. Alright, here's the combo to break all combos. Maze of Ith, Abundant Growth. Yeah, this is what Maze of Ith always wanted to do. Imagine a card printed and it was like, you can remove an attacking creature so it's not attacking anymore. Oh, by the way, it can tap for any color of mana as well. And it doesn't come into play tapped. Well, that's kind of what Abundant Growth does to that, in a nutshell, because it does replace itself. Anyway, so Maze of Ith, pretty good target for Abundant Growth. Chain Lightning is nice. Juggernaut's pretty powerful. Llanowar Elves. But yeah, Maze of Ith is just like free removal. Well, that's interesting. Isochron Scepter pairing with Swords to Plowshares, or one of those counterspells we passed. But you need more targets for that in your deck to make this good. So it's not really a consideration here. Wirewood Symbiote, we'd probably take this one out. We just don't have that many elves. So what can we pick here? We could take this Pilgrim's Eye. We don't want a million Pilgrim's Eye, but we might want one. So that's pretty cool. The other cards to consider here would be Sentinel Spider, Swiftwater Cliffs, and some other stuff. But yeah, the Pilgrim's Eye, I mean, it's a body. It does stuff. Oh, wow. This is another good pack. Chain Lightning, Counterspell. I guess it's got to be Chain Lightning here. We don't need it, well, Second Looter isn't terrible, but we don't need it. Wall of Omens is pretty good too, but removal and such. Oh man, this is really going to test me. Young Pyromancer, or Inkwell Leviathan. I've had some good experiences with Inkwell Leviathan, if you saw my last draft. I mean, no spoilers, but what else here? Young Pyromancer, how good is that? We've got sort of renewable stuff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 things to do with it. I think it's a little more consistent, but Extract from Darkness is also good with Inkwell Leviathan and Commune with the Gods. So this really, the thing is, Inkwell Leviathan might wheel, Young Pyromancer definitely won't. And yeah, I'll take Young Pyromancer this time. Pains me to do so. Ooh, but Wonder here. That was another one we used to good effect. But it does seem to work out well in this deck as well. Works well as well. Yeah, we'll take that here. And we've got some tokens, which we might not end up playing this Honden. 1 Spirit a turn is just not a lot. The Backwater and the Eyeblight's Ending. Well, I do like the Backwater. We do need it. And yeah, I think we're at the point now where we need to prioritize the lands. So I will take that. Ooh, Squadron Hawk. Now you're talking. Give me some of that foil Squadron Hawk. Okay, maybe not this late in the draft. So, Brawn. Give our guys Trample. Trample Flying. Yeah, I'll take Windscarred Crag, though. Oh, we could have gotten 2 Squadron Hawks? Now I don't know what to think. Well, we also have another shot at Brawn here. I just don't know if it does enough for the deck. Make an army of 1/1s and give them all Trample. So, probably Night's Whisper is a better card to consider here. Rally the Peasants is super cool with Young Pyromancer. But never mind about that. I think we'll just cut this Juggernaut. Alright, so no one really went deep on Elves, I guess. Sometimes decks are open, or they just didn't have a lot of support in the first few packs. Anything else we need for our deck? Not really. Take this. Counterspell and Swiftwater Cliffs. I still don't like Counterspell. I have no idea why it's here. But yeah, I'll take Swiftwater Cliffs. Oh man, do you win the game if you have like 1 of each of these lands? Do we have 2 of any one of them? No, I think we've got 1 of each of the ones we have. Oh, sorry, this isn't Maze's End. You don't win the game, but it's still kind of cool. Mog Fanatic. Una's Grace number 2. Blightsoil Druid, even though no one wants elves. I'm not going to play a second Una's Grace. Mindless Automaton. Oh, come on, our Inkwell Leviathan didn't wheel. Well, we can't beat that card. Unless we race it. Oh, unless we kill it and then get it back with Extract from Darkness. Alright, let's get rid of these lands for a bit to see what we're working with. Yeah, Flinthoof Boar. I don't actually think this is good in this deck. I thought it might have been good earlier on, but as a 2-mana 2/2 with potential haste, like even if you have the red mana, you might not have a mountain in play. So that's a pretty easy cut here. We probably want 18 lands with all this card draw and stuff. And then we just have to make sure we can win the game. All the creatures look good. A lot of the effects look good. Abundant Growths look good. Roar of the Worm, of all these cards, that looks like the weak spot. However, I think with these 3 Abundant Growths, we can get away with 17 land. Oh geez, this is sorting by color. That's nuts. Alright, that's a bit better. So primarily we're a green deck, splashing for a few powerful cards. So we can kind of order it like this. So we've got some blue. Blue is our next color. And then red. And then black. And then white. So the way this is going to work is we're going to play one of each red, black, and white, and just have these in addition to that. We might play just one blue too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 blue. But abundant growths count as like all colors. Alright, so let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so there is our mana base to begin with. And then we can cut 7 of these guys for this. And let's see what that leaves us with. This is a pretty messy way to do it, but it's pretty effective as well. Let's see what that leaves us with. So Maze of Ith is a spell, not really a land. Even though it kind of counts as a land with these abundant growths. But that's neither here nor there. Right. So this ends up with only 8 green sources. I don't want to cut any other basic land. So maybe we'll just have to get by on 8. And sometimes, you know, we only have 8 green cards. So I guess that'll be fine. Blue. We've got 5 blue sources. And again, with the abundant growths and Pilgrim's Eye and things, that should be plenty. Red. We've got 4 red, 3 black, 4 black, and then 4 white. Wow, you couldn't have made a more perfect mana base if you tried. And I guess we did kind of try, so couldn't be more perfect. All right, so this is really the dream here. Perfect Honden deck with no Hondens in it. All right, see you for round 1.